You think you know the person you share your bed with? I did. I thought I knew every laugh line, every insecurity, every dream she tucked away at night. I was wrong. It wasn't a private investigator or a suspicious text that revealed the truth. It was a piece of construction paper and a pack of crayons in the hands of my 5-year-old daughter. What she drew for me that Tuesday afternoon didn't just break my heart, it detonated my entire reality. Stick around. What you're about to hear is the story of how a child's drawing of Mr. Victor exposed a secret I never saw coming. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because Tuesdays are my long days. I'm a senior project manager for a commercial construction firm, which is a fancy way of saying I juggle schedules, angry clients, and impossible deadlines. I usually get home around 7:30, just in time to kiss my daughter Lily goodnight. But on this particular Tuesday, a miracle happened. A concrete pour was canceled, a supplier came through early, and I was walking through my front door at 5:15 p.m. The sun was still hanging in the sky, golden and lazy, painting stripes across our hardwood floor. For a moment, everything felt perfect. The house was quiet except for the faint sound of a kid's show coming from the living room. I dropped my briefcase by the door, the satisfying clunk echoing slightly. The smell of, well, nothing hit me. No dinner in the oven, no scent of my wife Jessica's perfume, just the clean, slightly sterile scent of our suburban home. "I'm home," I called out. A flurry of tiny footsteps came pattering down the hall. Lily, my 5-year-old whirlwind of pigtails and paint-stained fingers, launched herself at my legs.
Daddy, you're home early.
I scooped her up, her little body light as a feather, and buried my face in her hair. It smelled like that strawberry shampoo she loves. "Hey, Pumpkin, I got done early. Where's Mommy?"
She went to the store for grown-up juice.
"Grown-up juice," I chuckled. Wine, of course. Jessica had been enjoying her grown-up juice a lot more frequently lately. I chalked it up to the stress of managing the house and her part-time job at a boutique. I told myself it was normal. "Well, while she's out, what have you been up to, my little Picasso?" I asked, setting her down. Her eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. This was the moment she had been waiting for.
I made a picture for the fridge. It's my best one ever.
She grabbed my hand with a surprising amount of force and pulled me toward the small wooden table in our breakfast nook. It was her art station, permanently covered in a plastic tablecloth and a happy chaos of crayons, glitter, and dried-up markers. And there, in the center of it all, was her masterpiece. My heart did a little squeeze. It was one of those moments that fathers live for. The drawing was, well, it was 5-year-old art. A bright yellow sun with sunglasses in the corner, a lopsided house with a chimney puffing out green smoke, and a row of stick figures holding hands. On the left, a tall figure with scribbled brown hair and glasses. Underneath it, in wobbly backward letters, she'd written "Daddy." Next to me was a smaller figure with a triangle dress and a big smile. "Lily," my heart swelled, and next to her, a figure with long, flowing yellow hair. "Mommy." But there was one more person. On the other side of Jessica, holding her free hand, was another tall stick figure. This one had no glasses, just a scribble of black hair and a wide, almost goofy grin. He was taller than my figure. Underneath him, in the same earnest, childish scrawl, was a name I didn't recognize. "Mr. Victor." I stared at the drawing, my brain trying to process the fourth figure. A character from a TV show, maybe? One of her teachers? "Hey, this is great, sweetie," I said, my voice on autopilot as I taped it to the stainless steel fridge door. "You got my glasses and everything. But who's this guy over here? Mr. Victor?" I asked it casually, expecting a simple, childish explanation. What I got instead was a foundational crack in the life I thought I was living. Lily beamed, proud to share the details of her work.
That's Mr. Victor. He's Mommy's friend.
"Oh yeah, a new friend?" I asked, and still smiling, still oblivious.
Yeah, he comes over to visit when you're at work. He's really funny.
The smile on my face faltered. It didn't vanish, but it felt like the muscles holding it in place suddenly got tired. A cold, quiet hum started in the back of my mind. "He comes here? To the house?"
Uh-huh. He helps Mommy with things, and he gives her big grown-up hugs in the kitchen.
Grown-up hugs. The phrase hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. It was a 5-year-old's innocent description, but my 34-year-old mind translated it into something ugly and visceral. The humming in my head got louder. My blood felt like it was turning to slush in my veins. This had to be a misunderstanding. It had to be. Grown-up hugs, huh? I forced a chuckle, but it sounded like gravel scraping. What? What kind of things does he help Mommy with?
I don't know. Sometimes they go upstairs to her office to work. They close the door so I don't hear the noise. Mommy says they're having a very important meeting.
Important meetings. At my house. While I was at work. With a man named Victor. I felt my stomach drop to the floor. It was that specific gut-wrenching plunge you feel right before a car crash. I knelt down to be on Lily's level, trying desperately to keep my voice steady, to not let the panic bleed into my tone. This Mr. Victor, I started, my throat suddenly dry. Does he have a last name? Is he like Mr. Victor from the TV? Lily shook her head, her pigtails flopping.
No, silly. He's Mr. Victor from next door.
Next door? No, that was impossible. Next door was the Hendersons, Mark and Susan, a sweet retired couple who gave us zucchini from their garden. The other side was the Wallaces, Dave and, oh God, Dave and Sarah, and their son, Victor. No, not Victor. It was Vincent. Everyone called him Vince. Not Victor. Please don't let it be Vince. You mean Mr. Vince, sweetie, from 2 doors down? Lily scrunched up her nose in concentration.
Mommy calls him Victor. He told me to call him that too. He says it's his special name.
My mind was a blank, white screen of static. It couldn't be Vince Wallace. He was my friend. We barbecued together. We watched football. I'd helped him install his new sprinkler system last summer. His wife, Sarah, was one of Jessica's closest friends. They were in a book club together. Our daughters had play dates. It was absurd. It was unthinkable. But Lily wasn't done. She pointed a chubby finger at the drawing.
He always comes over after I take my nap, right after my cartoons are done.
Every weekday, Lily napped from 1 to 2:30. Her cartoons ran from 2:30 to 3:30. A chill so profound it felt like it was freezing my bone marrow swept over me. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a routine, a schedule. My daughter knew the schedule. I felt a wave of nausea. I had to sit down. I stumbled back to the kitchen table and sank into a chair, the cheerful drawing on the fridge now looking like a piece of evidence from a crime scene. My crime scene. My mind was scrambling, trying to build a wall of denial. It's a kid's fantasy. She's mixing up stories. It's not Vince. It's some other Victor. But there was no other Victor. And the details, the grown-up hugs, the important meetings upstairs, the specific timing, it was too much to be a coincidence. I looked at my daughter, who was now humming to herself and organizing her crayons, completely oblivious to the fact that she had just handed her father a lit stick of dynamite. And I realized with a soul-crushing certainty that this was just the beginning. The drawing was the smoke. I had to find the fire. I thought the drawing was the worst part. I was so wrong. The truth was buried deeper, in a place I never thought I'd have to look. And what I was about to find would make a child's drawing of an affair seem like a fairy tale. The sound of the front door opening an hour later was like a starter pistol for the race my heart was running. Jessica breezed in, juggling a grocery bag in her purse, a bright, artificial smile plastered on her face.
Hey! Sorry I took so long. The line at the liquor store was insane. You're home early. Good day?
I just stared at her. I watched the way she moved, the way she tucked a strand of her blonde hair behind her ear. Every familiar gesture now seemed alien, coated in a layer of deceit. Was this the same woman who cried in my arms after a sad movie? The same woman who held my hand while Lily was being born? Yeah, I managed to say, my voice flat. Day was fine. She frowned, sensing the chill in the air.
Everything okay? You seem off.
Just tired, I lied. It was the first of many. The rest of the evening was a master class in emotional suppression. I went through the motions. I helped Lily with her bath. I read her 3 bedtime stories instead of the usual 2, just to prolong the time before I had to be alone with my wife. Every time I looked at Jessica, I saw the stick figure on the fridge holding hands with Mr. Victor. After Lily was tucked in, Jessica opened a bottle of that grown-up juice and curled up on the couch to watch one of her reality shows. I told her I had some work emails to catch up on and retreated to my office. But I didn't open my laptop. I just sat there in the dark, the silence of the room amplifying the screaming in my head. I had to know. I couldn't confront her based on the words of a 5-year-old. She'd deny it. She'd call me crazy, jealous, insecure. She'd turn it around on me, making my long hours at work the villain. I've seen that move before. No, I needed proof. Cold, hard, undeniable proof. And in today's world, proof lives in one place: the phone. Her phone was her third appendage. It was always in her hand, on her nightstand, or in her back pocket. She guarded it like a dragon guards its gold. I'd teased her about it before, but now that protectiveness took on a sinister new meaning. My moment came around 10 p.m. She'd finished her second glass of wine and was getting sleepy. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went upstairs to get ready for bed. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. This felt so wrong, like a gross violation of trust. But what choice did I have? The trust was already a mushroom cloud. I was just sifting through the fallout. I picked up the phone. The screen lit up, showing a picture of me and Lily. The irony was a physical blow. It took me 3 tries to get the passcode: our anniversary, her birthday, then Lily's birthday. Ear O 1014. It opened. My hands were shaking. I felt like a spy in my own life. Where do you even start? I opened her text messages. I scrolled through them, my breath held tight in my chest. There were chats with her sister, her mom, a group chat for her book club. Everything seemed normal, too normal. Then I saw it, a contact named Vicky B. The B stood for book club, I assumed. But the message preview was odd. Can't stop thinking about this afternoon. You're incredible. My blood ran cold. I tapped on the thread, and there it was. Months of it. Messages that were anything but book club chatter. Counting the minutes until I can see you tomorrow. Same time?
You know it. He just left for that site visit. The house is all ours.
I'll bring the wine, you bring that smile.
Don't be late. I can't wait to feel your arms around me again.
It went on and on. Page after page of flirtation, planning, and sickeningly sweet pet names. And the name, Vicky, a simple, clever disguise. Victor, Vicky. My stomach churned. I scrolled up, looking for a picture, a last name, anything. But there was no contact photo, no last name, just Vicky B. I kept digging. I checked her call log. Dozens of calls to Vicky B, often right after I left for work in the morning or while I was stuck in traffic on the way home. Some calls were just a minute long, quick check-ins. Others were over an hour. What the hell did they talk about for an hour? Then I went to her photo gallery. I scrolled past hundreds of pictures of Lily, of our family vacations, of dinners with friends. It was a highlight reel of the life I thought we were building. And then I found the recently deleted album. It's amazing how people think deleting something makes it go away forever. I opened it, and the world fell out from under me. It was a selfie. Jessica, looking flushed and happy, her head resting on a man's bare shoulder. You could only see the side of his face, his jawline, and the edge of a familiar dark-haired sideburn. But it was enough. The man in the photo was Vince Wallace, my neighbor, my friend. Mr. Victor. There were other pictures, a shot of their hands intertwined, a bottle of wine on a table between them, a picture of Jessica, wearing a negligee I'd never seen before, smiling seductively at the camera. The photo was taken in our bedroom, in my bed. I felt like I was going to be sick. I stumbled to the sink and dry heaved, my body convulsing with a toxic mix of rage and grief. The betrayal was so absolute, so profound, it was almost surreal. This wasn't just a fling. This was a calculated, long-term affair happening feet from where my daughter slept. And I know some of you listening might be judging me for going through her phone. Maybe you think it was a breach of privacy, but I need you to be honest with me. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done. If your gut was screaming at you that something was terribly wrong, would you have respected that privacy? Or would you have gone looking for the truth, no matter how ugly it was? I honestly need to know I'm not the only one who would have made that choice. I put the phone back on the counter, my fingerprints feeling like a stain on the glass. I had the proof, but it wasn't enough. Seeing the pictures, reading the texts, it just opened up 1,000 more questions. How long? How often? Why? The need for more information became a physical hunger. I went back to my office and opened her laptop, which she always left on my desk. Her email was already logged in. I typed Victor into the search bar. Nothing. I typed Vince. Nothing. I typed Vicky. And there it was, an email from a few months ago. The subject line was Hotel Confirmation, The Grove Inn. My hands trembled as I opened it. It was a reservation for 2 at a boutique hotel an hour out of town, a king suite, for a Friday night. I checked my calendar. It was the weekend I'd been on that business trip to Chicago, the one she'd encouraged me to take, saying she and Lily would have a girls' weekend at home. The pieces were slamming into place now, forming a picture so hideous I could barely look at it. She hadn't just been cheating in my house. She'd been taking him on trips, using our money, lying to my face with a sweet smile. I felt a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. I wanted to smash the laptop against the wall. I wanted to storm into our bedroom and drag her out of my bed. I wanted to run next door and beat Vince Wallace's face in, but I didn't. Some cold, logical part of my brain took over. Yelling and screaming would solve nothing. It would just be a chaotic mess. I needed to be smart. I needed a plan. I took screenshots of everything. The texts, the call logs, the deleted photos, the hotel confirmation. I emailed them to a new, secret email address I created on the spot. I was building a case. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I knew I needed it. As I was about to close the laptop, I noticed her cloud storage drive was open. A folder named J. Misk caught my eye. I clicked it. It was mostly pictures of Lily, recipes, articles she'd saved. But then I saw another folder, deep inside that one. It was named VV. My heart stopped. VV? Victor Vance? No, Vince Wallace. But she called him Victor. Victor. V. It had to be. I clicked. Password required. Of course, my mind raced. I tried her birthday. Denied. Lily's birthday. Denied. Our anniversary. Denied. I tried Victor. Denied. I tried Vicky. Denied. I sat back, frustration boiling in my gut. What would she use? Something meaningful to them, but not to me. Then a thought so sickening it almost made me log off. The date of the hotel reservation, I typed it in. Access granted. The folder opened. It wasn't full of photos, it was worse. It was videos. Dozens of them. The thumbnails were small, but I could tell what they were. They were recordings. Of them. In my house. In my bed. I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't breathe. I clicked on the first one. The video loaded. And I saw him. Vince. Mr. Victor. He was setting up the camera on our dresser. And when he turned around to face the bed, he wasn't just some generic cheater. He was wearing my favorite bathrobe. My gray, fleece-lined bathrobe that I loved to lounge in on lazy Sunday mornings. The one Jessica had bought me for Christmas 2 years ago. That detail, that utterly disrespectful, arrogant detail, that's what broke me. The affair was a dagger to the heart. This was them taking that dagger and twisting it, laughing while they did it. The sound of Jessica calling my name from upstairs shattered the silence.
Alex, are you coming to bed?
I slammed the laptop shut. I couldn't face her. Not now. I didn't know what I would do. My entire world had been hollowed out in the space of a few hours, all because of a child's drawing. I thought I'd hit rock bottom staring at those video files. But I was about to learn that rock bottom had a basement, and the identity of Mr. Victor was more than just a neighbor. It was a betrayal on a level I couldn't have comprehended. Forcing myself to walk up those stairs and get into bed with her was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. The mattress felt foreign, tainted. The air was thick with her lies. She was already half asleep and she mumbled something as I slid under the covers, keeping as much distance between us as possible. I laid there, rigid, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying the videos, the texts, the photo of Vince wearing my bathrobe in my bedroom. Vince Wallace, the guy I'd loaned my lawnmower to last month, the guy whose fantasy football league I was in, the guy whose wife, Sarah, was supposed to be Jessica's best friend. The sheer mind-bending audacity of it was what I couldn't get past. This wasn't some stranger she met online. This wasn't a drunken mistake with a coworker at a holiday party. This was a systematic, ongoing deception with the man who lived less than 100 feet away. He had been in my home, for barbecues, for kids' birthday parties, shaking my hand, clapping me on the back, all while sleeping with my wife behind my back. How many times had I come home from work, exhausted, and seen him out watering his lawn? How many times had he waved, a friendly smile on his face, knowing my wife was likely in our bedroom, still warm from his touch? The thought was a physical poison, spreading through me. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Around 4 a.m., I gave up. I slipped out of bed, got dressed in the dark, and went downstairs. I couldn't be in that house. I grabbed my keys and just started driving. The streets were empty, washed in the eerie orange glow of the streetlights. My mind was a chaotic storm. What do I do? What are my options? I could confront her. I could confront him. I could pack a bag and leave. I could burn both their houses to the ground. The violent, irrational thoughts were terrifyingly seductive. I needed an anchor. I needed a voice of reason. I pulled over into an empty parking lot and called the one person I knew I could trust, no matter what. My brother, Will. He's 2 years older than me, a lawyer, and the most level-headed person I know. He answered on the second ring, his voice thick with sleep.
Alex, what's wrong? It's 4 in the morning.
I know, I'm sorry. I need to talk to you, I stammered, my voice breaking for the first time. The dam of control I'd built all night was cracking.
Where are you? Are you okay?
I'm in my car. Will, Jessica's cheating on me. Just saying the words out loud made them real. It was like a confession. I heard Will sit up in his bed. The sleepiness in his voice vanished, replaced by a sharp, protective focus.
What? What are you talking about? How do you know?
And so I told him. I told him everything. I started with Lily's drawing, the innocent scrawl of Mr. Victor. I told him about the text with Vicky B, the deleted photos, the hotel receipt, and finally the videos. I told him it was Vince Wallace. There was a long, heavy silence on the other end of the line. When Will finally spoke, his voice was low and cold with fury.
Vince Wallace? Our neighbor Vince? Are you kidding me?
I wish I was, man. I wish I was making this all up.
That absolute piece of trash. And Jessica. Alex, I'm so sorry. What do you need? You want me to come over? I'll be there in 20 minutes.
No, don't. She's still at the house. I needed to tell someone who wouldn't think I was crazy.
You're not crazy. You're a man who just found out his entire life is a lie. Okay, listen to me. Lawyer hat is on now, not just Big Brother hat. You have the screenshots? You emailed them to yourself?
Yeah, everything.
Good. Do not delete them. Do not mention them. Do not let her know that you know. Not yet. You have all the power right now, Alex, all of it. The moment you confront her, you lose that. She'll start deleting, lying, covering her tracks. You need to be smart.
His words cut through my emotional fog. He was right. My rage wanted a confrontation, but my future needed a strategy.
What do you want to happen?
He asked quietly. The question hung in the air. What did I want? A week ago, I would have said I wanted a long, happy life with my wife and daughter. I wanted to grow old in that house. Now, I want him out of my life. I want her out of my life, I said, the words tasting like ash. And I want my daughter. I'm not losing Lily in this.
Then that's what we'll do. You need to play this cool for a little while longer. Can you do that? Can you go back home and pretend, just for a day or two, while I find you the best divorce attorney in the state?
Pretend. Could I go back into that house, look at her face, and act like nothing was wrong? The thought of it made me feel sick again, but the thought of losing Lily was worse. I'll try, I said. I have to.
Okay, go home. Try to get some sleep. Don't engage with her. Just be distant, be tired. You have a legitimate excuse to be that way. And for God's sake, do not go next door and talk to Vince. That can only end badly. We'll handle him, legally, okay?
Okay, I whispered. We hung up and I sat in my car as the sky began to lighten from black to a bruised purple. Will was right. I had to be an actor in my own home. I drove back, the rising sun feeling like an unwelcome spotlight on my ruined life. Walking back into the house was surreal. Jessica was in the kitchen making coffee, dressed in her workout clothes. She looked up and gave me a concerned look.
There you are. I woke up and you were gone. I was worried. Where did you go?
The lie came easier than I expected. Couldn't sleep, had a lot on my mind from work. Went for a drive. She bought it. She walked over and tried to wrap her arms around my neck to give me a kiss. I flinched. I couldn't help it. I turned my head so her lips landed on my cheek. It felt like being kissed by a snake.
Rough night, huh? Well, I'm heading to the gym. I'll pick up Lily from preschool after. We can have a nice family dinner tonight. I'll make your favorite pasta.
My favorite pasta, family dinner. The casual, domestic bliss of it all was a mockery. She kissed me on the cheek again and breezed out the door, her yoga mat tucked under her arm. The gym. Was she even going to the gym? Or was she meeting him? The paranoia was a living thing now, whispering in my ear. I spent the day in a fog, working from home, but not really working. I was just staring at my screen, my mind miles away. Around noon, I saw him. Vince. He was outside mowing his lawn, shirtless. The same body from the photos, from the videos. He saw me through the window and gave me a cheerful, oblivious wave. I just stared back, my face a blank mask, until he turned away, confused. I felt a tremor of rage go through me, so powerful I had to grip the edge of my desk. This was my life now, a holding pattern, waiting for the right moment to pull the pin on the grenade. The waiting was agony. Every minute felt like an hour. The sound of Jessica's car pulling into the driveway later that afternoon was like a gunshot in the silent house. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I had the evidence. I had the truth thanks to Will's advice. The only question left was, how do you confront a monster you thought was your soulmate? I knew the explosion was coming. I just didn't know if I'd survive the blast. The plan, as laid out by my brother Will and the shark of a divorce attorney he'd found for me, was simple. Stay quiet. Let the lawyer make the first move, file the papers, have her served, and handle everything through legal channels. It was the smart play, the strategic play. It was also completely impossible. For 2 days, I lived in a surreal, silent movie of my own life. I was a ghost in my own home. I gave one-word answers. I ate dinners I couldn't taste. I feigned headaches to avoid conversation, to avoid her touch. Jessica was walking on eggshells, confused and frustrated by my sudden coldness, but she didn't push. Not yet. She was probably relieved I was too distracted by work to pay her any real attention. It likely made her own life easier. But the pressure was building inside me like a volcanic eruption. The rage, the grief, the sheer crushing weight of the betrayal needed an outlet. The breaking point came on Thursday night. I was putting Lily to bed, reading her a story about a brave knight and a loyal princess. She fell asleep halfway through, her little hand clutching my finger. I looked down at her perfect, innocent face, and something inside me shattered. She deserved better than this. She deserved a home that wasn't built on a foundation of lies. She deserved a father who wasn't a walking corpse, and a mother who was present, honest. I walked downstairs. Jessica was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, a glass of wine on the table beside her. She didn't even look up when I entered the room. That tiny act of indifference was the final matchstick on the gasoline-soaked pyre of my patience. I walked over to the kitchen island, my movements slow and deliberate. My heart wasn't racing anymore. It was beating with a cold, heavy rhythm. I was done pretending. Lily drew a picture for me the other day, I said, my voice quiet but carrying the weight of a death sentence. Jessica looked up, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes at being interrupted.
Oh yeah? That's nice, honey.
She started to look back down at her phone. Don't, I said. The word was sharp, like a crack of ice. It stopped her. She looked at me, really looked at me, and for the first time in 2 days, she saw the storm in my eyes.
Alex, what's wrong? You're scaring me.
Am I? I gave a short, bitter laugh. That's funny. I'm the one who should be scared. I walked over to the fridge and pulled down Lily's drawing. The cheerful stick figures mocked me. I smoothed it out on the cool granite of the island, right in front of her. She told me all about it, I said, my voice dangerously low. About our family. There's me. There's Lily. There's you. I tapped each figure. Then my finger landed on the fourth one. And there's Mr. Victor, her new friend, your new friend. I watched her face. It was a fascinating, horrifying spectacle. First, a flash of confusion, then the slow, dawning horror of comprehension as she processed my words. Her face went pale. But then, almost instantly, the walls went up. The denial kicked in.
Mr. Victor? Honey, I have no idea who that is. You know how kids are, they just make things up. It's probably a character from one of her shows.
The lie was so bald-faced, so insulting, it almost took my breath away. She was going to stand there in our kitchen and try to gaslight me. Don't you dare, I seethed, my voice dropping to a whisper. Don't you dare lie to me, Jessica. Not about this. Not after everything.
I'm not lying. You're acting crazy, Alex. You've been moody and distant all week, and now you're interrogating me over a child's drawing? What is wrong with you?
She was good. I had to give her that. She was turning it back on me, painting me as the unstable one. But I had my armor. I had the truth. What's wrong with me? I pulled out my phone. You want to know what's wrong with me? Let's talk about Vicky B from your book club. Her composure cracked, just for a second, a tiny tremor of fear in her eyes. It was all the confirmation I needed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do, I said, my voice dripping with contempt. I read her own words back to her. Can't wait to feel your arms around me again. Does that sound like book club chatter to you, Jess? The color drained completely from her face. She just stared at my phone, her mouth slightly agape. The denial was gone, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. And then there's this, I said, swiping to the next piece of evidence. The hotel confirmation for the Grove Inn. For the weekend, I was in Chicago. The girls' weekend you and Lily were supposed to have. Who was the other girl in that king suite with you, Jessica? She was stammering now, her mind visibly scrambling for an escape route.
Alex, it's not what you think. It was a mistake. It just happened.
It just happened? I slammed my hand down on the counter, the sound echoing in the silent house. A hotel reservation doesn't just happen. Texting him every single day doesn't just happen. It's a choice. You chose to do this. My voice was rising now, the carefully controlled anger finally breaking free. And then there are the pictures, Jessica, I continued, my voice trembling with rage. I turned my phone and showed her the selfie, her and Vince, in our bed. And the videos. Oh God, the videos. In a password-protected folder on our shared cloud drive. The password was the date of your little hotel getaway. Cute. Real cute. She finally broke. A sob escaped her lips, and she sank onto a stool, her head in her hands.
Alex, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you.
You never wanted to hurt me? I laughed, a broken hollow sound. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think I'd never find out? Did you think you could just live this double life forever? The excuses started pouring out then, a pathetic, predictable torrent.
You were never here. You were always working, always tired, always stressed. I was so lonely, Alex.
Lonely? You were lonely, so you decided to sleep with our neighbor? Our friend? You could have talked to me. You could have told me you were unhappy. We could have gone to counseling. We could have done anything. But you chose this. You chose to lie and sneak around with Vince freaking Wallace. I was pacing now, a caged animal in my own kitchen. The adrenaline was making me shake.
It didn't mean anything. It was just physical.
Don't you dare diminish it, I roared, pointing a finger at her. You don't take someone to a hotel. You don't make videos with them. You don't introduce them to our daughter if it doesn't mean anything. How could you do this in our house? In our bed? With our daughter sleeping just down the hall? How could you bring him into her life? I expected more tears, more excuses. But instead, she looked up at me, her face streaked with mascara, and her eyes held a spark of defiance. Her answer to that question, it wasn't an excuse. It was a confession that revealed a level of disrespect so profound, it made everything else seem small.
It was just easier that way.
Her voice was quiet, almost matter-of-fact. I stopped pacing. I just stared at her, waiting for the rest of the sentence.
I didn't have to get a babysitter.
The words hung in the air between us. She had an affair in our home, with our child present, for convenience, because it was easier than hiring a sitter. The casual, practical cruelty of that statement knocked the wind out of me. It was at that moment I realized my marriage wasn't just broken. It had never been real. Not for her. I had been a convenience too, a provider, a stable fixture in the life she wanted, while she sought her passion elsewhere. A strange calm washed over me. The rage evaporated, replaced by a chilling, absolute clarity. Get out, I said. My voice was devoid of emotion.
What?
Get your things, a few days' worth, and get out of my house now.
Alex, please. Let's talk about this. We can fix this.
There is nothing to fix, I said, looking right through her. You didn't break something we can glue back together. You proved that what we had was never real to begin with. It was all a lie. You're a stranger to me. I turned and walked away from her, heading to the guest room. I want you gone by the time I come out, I called over my shoulder. I closed the door, leaned against it, and slid to the floor. The strength that had carried me through the confrontation drained away, leaving me a hollow, shaking wreck. I had done it. I had faced the monster. But the battle was far from over. I had just survived the explosion. Now I had to figure out how to navigate the radioactive wasteland she had made of my life. The hours after the confrontation were a blur of hollow silence and frantic activity. I stayed locked in the guest room, listening. I heard drawers opening and closing, the zip of a suitcase, the faint sound of her muffled sobs. A part of me, a deeply buried, foolish part, wanted to open the door and take it all back, to rewind to a time when I was blissfully ignorant. But then I'd remember the phrase, I didn't have to get a babysitter, and a wall of ice would slam down in my heart. Around 2 a.m., I heard the front door click shut. I waited a few minutes, then walked out. The house felt huge, empty. A note was on the kitchen island, right where Lily's drawing had been. Her handwriting, usually so neat and loopy, was jagged and smeared. I'm at my sister's. We need to talk. I still love you. I crumpled it up and threw it in the trash without a second thought. Love? She didn't know the meaning of the word. The next morning was the beginning of the new, terrible reality. I had to wake Lily up, get her dressed, and make her breakfast, all while pretending that everything was normal. All while fielding the inevitable question.
Where's Mommy?
My heart fractured. How do you explain adultery and betrayal to a 5-year-old? You don't. You lie. You do what you have to do to protect them. Mommy had to go help Aunt Carol with something, I said, my voice sounding impossibly cheerful. She'll be gone for a few days, so it's just you and me, kiddo. A Daddy Lily adventure. She bought it, her excitement at the prospect of an adventure overriding any concern. But I knew that was a temporary patch. The questions would get harder. The lies would get thinner. The first hard conversation was with the attorney Will had set me up with. Her name was Diane, and she was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, with eyes that could probably see through steel. I sat in her plush office and laid out the whole sordid story, showing her the folder of evidence on my phone. She listened patiently, her face unreadable. When I was done, she folded her hands on her desk. This is what we call, in legal terms, a slam dunk, she said, a hint of grim satisfaction in her voice. The infidelity is clear, and the fact that it was conducted in the marital home with the child present is a significant factor in custody discussions. You did good, Alex. Collecting this evidence was the smartest thing you could have done. Making that decision to file for divorce was the hardest and easiest thing I've ever done. It was hard because it meant accepting that my family was broken forever. It was easy because I knew with every fiber of my being that I could never trust Jessica again. The road from here was going to be hell, I knew that, and the first circle of that hell was dealing with the neighbor situation. For a few days, a silent war was waged across our lawns. I kept the blinds closed. I used the garage door to avoid seeing Vince's house. But I couldn't hide forever. The question of what to do about his wife, Sarah, was eating me alive. Did she deserve to know? My gut screamed yes. She was a victim in this, just as much as I was. She was being lied to by the man she loved and by the woman she considered her best friend. Keeping her in the dark felt like being an accessory to their deception. Will, my brother and makeshift legal counsel, advised against it. He warned it could get messy, that Vince could claim I was harassing him, that it could complicate the divorce. I wrestled with it for 2 days, but in the end, my conscience won. I couldn't let another person live a lie. I waited until I saw Vince leave for work one morning. Then, with my heart pounding a nervous rhythm against my ribs, I walked the 100 feet to his front door and rang the bell. Sarah answered, a warm, friendly smile on her face. Alex, hi, is everything okay? Her smile faltered as she saw the look on my face. Sarah, I said, my voice strained. Can I come in? There's something I have to tell you, and I'm so sorry. I spent the next 20 minutes in her pristine living room telling her everything. I didn't show her the videos or the most explicit photos. I couldn't do that to her. But I told her about the texts, the hotel, the timeline. I watched as her world crumbled in real time. The color drained from her face, her hands started to shake, and a silent tear traced a path down her cheek. The look in her eyes was one of pure, unadulterated devastation. It was a mirror of how I'd felt just days before. When I was done, she was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, the bathrobe, the gray one? He told me he bought one just like yours because he liked it so much. That small, pathetic lie seemed to be the thing that broke her. She let out a choked sob. I had done the right thing, I knew, but I felt like a monster for being the one to deliver the blow. I left her there, amidst the wreckage of her own marriage, and walked back to my own empty house. The fallout was spreading. The divorce papers were served to Jessica the following week at her sister's house. The war began. The phone calls, the angry texts, the accusations. I was cruel. I was unstable. I was trying to take her daughter away from her. I let it all go to voicemail. I let Diane, my lawyer, handle everything. The next few months were a blur of legal meetings, custody evaluations, and the slow, painful process of disentangling a life. We sold the house. The place where I had brought my daughter home from the hospital, the place where we'd built a life, was now just an asset to be liquidated. Seeing the for sale sign go up on the lawn, right next to the one that had just gone up on Vince and Sarah's lawn, was the final, brutal confirmation that an entire chapter of my life, an entire neighborhood, was over. If you want to hear how I navigated the ugly custody battle and the final insane confrontation I had with Vince, make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on, because the legal fight was almost as brutal as the emotional one. The divorce was, in a word, ugly. As soon as lawyers got involved, any pretense of an amicable split evaporated. Jessica's initial tearful apologies morphed into a bitter campaign to paint me as an absentee, work-obsessed husband who drove her into another man's arms. Her lawyer tried to argue that my evidence was an illegal invasion of privacy. My lawyer, Diane, calmly presented the case law that shut that down immediately. The custody evaluation was the worst part. A court-appointed psychologist interviewed me, Jessica, and, for a short, play-based session, Lily. I had to sit there and talk about the most painful moments of my life to a stranger, all while trying to sound like the most stable, capable parent in the world. But the evidence was overwhelming. The videos, the texts, the sheer recklessness of conducting an affair with a 5-year-old in the next room. It all painted a clear picture. In the end, the judge's decision was firm. I was granted primary physical custody. Jessica got visitation rights every other weekend and on specified holidays, with a morality clause stating she could have no overnight guests of a romantic nature while Lily was with her. It wasn't a total victory. There's no winning in a situation like this. But it was the best possible outcome for my daughter. I had protected her. As for Vince, I only saw him one more time. It was a few weeks before we all moved out of the neighborhood. I was packing up the garage when he walked up my driveway. He looked terrible. He'd lost weight, had dark circles under his eyes, and the confident swagger was gone. Sarah had kicked him out and filed for divorce the day after I spoke with her. He tried to apologize. He said all the predictable things. He didn't know what he was thinking. It was a huge mistake. He was sorry for the pain he caused. I just looked at him, this man I once called a friend. "Are you sorry you did it?" I asked, my voice flat. "Or are you just sorry you got caught?" He had no answer for that. "Get off my property, Vince," I said, turning my back on him. "And if I ever see you near me or my daughter again, you'll be dealing with more than just a lawyer." He left, and I never saw him again. It's been 2 years since that Tuesday. 2 years since a crayon drawing changed everything. Lily and I live in a small townhouse on the other side of the city now. It's not the big suburban house we had before, but it's ours. It's a place of peace, a place free of secrets. Being a single dad is the hardest and most rewarding job I've ever had. There are days when I'm so exhausted I can barely see straight. There are moments when I see a happy family at the park and feel a pang of jealousy for the life I thought I was going to have. But then, Lily will crawl into my lap, throw her little arms around my neck, and tell me I'm the best daddy in the whole wide world. And I know I made the right choice. I've learned a lot. I learned that the people you think you know can be complete strangers. I learned that trust, once shattered, can never be perfectly reassembled. But I also learned that I am more resilient than I ever imagined. I learned that a father's love for his child is a force of nature, and I learned that sometimes your life has to be completely demolished before you can rebuild it into something stronger, something more authentic. Jessica sees Lily on her scheduled weekends. Our interactions are brief and businesslike, centered entirely on our daughter's well-being. I don't know if she is still with Vince, and frankly, I don't care. Her life is no longer my concern. My focus is on the little girl who, in her own innocent way, saved me. She saved me from a life that was a lie. She brought the truth into the light, as painful as it was, and gave me a chance to build a real future. So that's my story. The story of the crayon drawing that ended a marriage but started a new life. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. It means a lot to be able to share this. Hit that like button if you believe in the power of new beginnings, no matter how painful the journey is. And always remember, sometimes the most profound truths come from the most innocent mouths. I'll see you in the next one.